other and trying to accomplish things for the community, whether it is Southern Arkansas University supporting, whether it is nonprofit organizations like this, or whether it's education, or whether it's job creation. You believe in this community. And this is actually my first trip back here since I was elected governor. So I'm delighted to come back to Magnolia, and this is an incredible occasion. By the way, all of those people back there, for all the ladies, did an incredible job of waiting on us tonight and serving us. Let's give them a Sarah, I want to express my appreciation to you for your invitation, for your leadership here. And this is an incredible support organization for those that have developmental disabilities. And I can't even, you did such a great job. I mean, they're impressive. The clients here are impressive in the way that they serve, the way that they help, the way that they communicate, the way that they lead, the way that they inspire. And CJ, thank you for the prayer that you gave earlier. That was very encouraging to me. And CJ asked me a simple question, Governor, what's it like to be governor? Good question, CJ. My answer was it's the best job in America. I went, after I was in Congress, I went to join the Bush administration. I was head of the DA, and 9/11 happened. I went over to Homeland Security. And this is, I was working with Secretary Ridge, who is the chief advisor to the president, working in the West Wing of the White House every day. And every day he would come to work, he'd look at me. Of course, he was the former governor of Pennsylvania. He'd look at me and said, Asa, being governor is the best job in America. And we were in a tough environment there. We got incredible experience about government, about security, about the issues that face our country. And today, we're in tumultuous times in our nation. Incredible times. I mean, after 9/11, what I saw at Homeland Security, and then to see today with the threat of terrorism that still exists and perhaps even at a greater level, it's a challenge that we face with instability in nations abroad. And then we have an election campaign that everyone looks at each other and says, what happened to stability in America? And whoever you're for, you still ask that question. And we've got a lot of challenges in our country, but I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist about America. I'm an optimist about our future. But there's only certain things that I can control. And I can look at that national level and say, I want to influence. And I do want to influence it as the governor, as the direction that we go as a nation. But at the same time, there are certain things that I can do here, working with my colleagues they want to partner with us and do more for our foster children, help those who are coming out of prison. And say we want to provide more opportunities in the workspace, those that want a second chance. Those are some of the things that we've been able to do that I'm very proud of. But what I've been engaged in is job creation. And that has taken me to brag about and talk about our success as a state. I go to the Paris Air Show, and I tell them that we have $1.6 billion from our aero defense industry that we export for this state. From Camden with Aerojet Rocketdyne, expanded to all the subsidiary businesses that surround that, to the Stowe Falcon jet at Little Rock. Everyone who purchases a Falcon jet anywhere in the globe, whether China or Europe, they have to fly to Little Rock, Arkansas to pick it up. Because we do the final assembly there. Aero defense, I go to Germany to the steel show. And I'm able to talk about the fact that Arkansas soon will be at the #1 steel producing county in the United States of America. They all look at me and say, "Are you kidding?" I said, "That's right." I go to China. And I talk about the timberland, the vast timberland that we have in South Arkansas. And they're scarce on their raw materials. So they're looking at relocating mills here to utilize some of our resources to invest here in this state. Those are investments that create jobs that we're working for. As a result of that trip, we have 3 or 4 Chinese businesses that are looking at developing and investing here in the state of Arkansas. So we have been all over the globe promoting this state, creating jobs, and it makes a difference for the governors out there. I went to Cuba, which I can tell my Cuba stories all the time. Cuba's a fascinating place. I was the first governor to go to Cuba after we restored diplomatic relations. Why do you go to Cuba? Because they need our poultry, they need our timber, they need our rice, they need our agricultural products. And they have 11 million people, and that market is closed to us by and large because we do not allow credit transactions with Cuba. We have cash transactions with no credit transactions, and so it's hard to compete with Brazil and with Thailand, who's selling them on credit. And so I made the case that to Congress that we need to broaden that restriction so that we can sell our products there. Fascinating though to talk to them. I talk to Chinese leaders, communist Chinese leaders, and they're willing to talk to you about capitalism, competition, what they believe in, investment and return on investment. You go to Cuba, they're still fighting the revolution. They're still talking about the principles of the revolution that happened in the 1950s. So we've got a ways to go there. They told me the story there that, the government owns all the restaurants in Cuba. They own all of the barbershops in Cuba. And so some of the restaurant families came and said, "Would you give us a license so that we can have our own restaurant?" And they said, "Okay, we'll give you a license, but you only have 50 customers." And of course, they're entrepreneurs. They have a little bit of our blood in them. And so pretty soon you had the husband had 50, a license for 50, and the wife had a license for 50, and the cook in the back was a partner had a license for 50. There's a way around the workaround rules. But then the government decided, we're having a hard time competing with all those family-owned restaurants because they learn if they improve their service and their quality of food, all of a sudden their customer base increases. It's the competitive private enterprise system at work that they're having to learn and adjust to. We need them to accelerate that. So it's a great opportunity, and I mentioned basketball. I happen to like to pick up basketball. And so I still play a little bit. And so my staff said, well, established the Employment First Initiative in state government that asks our state agencies to do more in terms of employing those that might have some disability. But to come out here and see a community to support each other and say we want to improve the quality of life, we want to provide the best opportunities for each individual in our community is inspiring to me, and I want to thank you for that effort. Now I talked about some of the things we've done. I talked about some of the growth opportunities that we have. We do have a little bit of work this time around. We've got 3 sessions of the legislature coming up in April. The first one is Medicaid reform special session. The second one is the budget session. The third one should be centered around the highway program. And they sequentially are ordered. One's got to succeed after the other to make it all a good package for Arkansas. And I just want you to keep in mind that we received this Affordable Care Act. Don't like it, got it, do the best we can here in Arkansas. And before I got here, we adopted a private option that included the Medicaid expansion, more people being served, having a private insurance policy to go with it for the low-income groups. That plan expires this year. We got to figure out what we'll do from there. One of my principles, I said, is to grow the private sector economy more than the public sector. Another principle is that our social programs, the help that we give as a government, should be a safety net for individuals, but it should also be for those that are able-bodied an incentive for people to work versus an incentive for people not to work. So for that reason, we call it Arkansas Works. And so it continues the coverage for those that are trying to climb the economic ladder. It provides more work opportunities, mandatory referrals to worker training programs for those that might not have the skill level. It requires more personal responsibility. If you're above 100% of the federal poverty level, you get a little bit of premium. It encourages employer-based insurance, incentivizes employers to offer insurance versus just relying upon the government program. And then it provides more program integrity as well. That's what will be considered in the first session. We'll do our budget session